Yeah, so I said, look, just because she had her feet up on the table doesn't mean that she was taking a nap, does it? But then she said, well, actually, when I came in, she quickly got up and pretended that as if she was on the phone to someone. So I'm thinking, putting those two things together, it's safe to assume that actually she probably was taking a nap. It was something that she should not have been doing at that time because she wasn't getting paid to take an. Oh. Sorry. Are we filming? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Dear. You caught me just trying to do a little bit of detective work there. And actually, it links pretty nicely to the focus of our reading lesson today for year 4, which is on how to justify our inferences with evidence from a text by answering some inference questions. So, you are going to have to be doing some detective work of your own. So, just in case you don't know who I am, my name's Miss Sam and I am a teacher at Park Primary, but today I'm super lucky because I get to be your teacher too. So, let's get started. Before we begin to make inferences and justify them, let's just take a moment to think of the word inference and what that actually means. An inference is a conclusion that you come to based on what you see, read, or experience. It is based on all of the information that you have at that particular time. It is not necessarily a correct guess, but it is an educated one. And if you've been listening carefully, you would have heard another word that I used, which was justify. We are going to be justifying our inferences. So what does it mean to justify something? Well, this simply means that we need evidence in order to prove our inferences, in order to prove why we think what we do.
Why do we think that? Why do we even need to know about this, Miss Sam? Why is the point? Why do we need to know?
Excuse me? What? What's the point? We need to be able to justify our inferences because otherwise we could just say whatever we wanted and it might not even link to the text at all. Also, not just in school, but in life in general, we are going to have to come to conclusions without necessarily knowing 100% of the facts. And we'll be expected to give reasons for the conclusions that we have come to. So this is good practice, not just for reading, but just for everyday life. Right, let's get going. So, to help us make our inferences today, I have a very interesting text for you to read in 3, 2, 1, back. Let's have a read. Rain whipped at Grace Tembe's window as she huddled in her bed, making sure that the covers were tucked in tight around her chin. Tentatively, she lifted up just enough to peek out of the window. She could hear the howling of the wind as it fought with the trees, making them sway violently from side to side. The whole town was shrouded in darkness, and if she squinted really hard, she could just make out the remains of the neighbour's trampoline draped over Mr. Lake's prize-winning hedgerows. Just as Grace plucked up the courage to peel the covers from her face, a loud crack of lightning pierced the sky, sending her back under the covers. So, let's get stuck into some questions. Here is question number 1. Choose 3 words that suggest that Grace is feeling scared. Explain your answer. Now, at first glance, this may not seem like an inference question because it doesn't start with, how do you think Grace is feeling? It's told us already, Grace is feeling scared. So we don't need to do any work there. We know how she's feeling. But what it's asking us to do is find the evidence in the text to justify this inference that Grace is feeling scared. So what words are telling us that Grace could be feeling scared or is feeling scared? So, 3 words that could suggest that Grace is feeling scared for me are huddled, tentatively, and peek. Let me explain why. I've chosen huddled because huddled suggests that she is scared, because when you huddle, you are trying to nestle and get yourself deep into something or really close next to someone or something. Usually this is because you want to feel reassured that you are safe. So maybe Grace is scared and feels a lot safer when she is tucked up tight in her covers. That makes sense to me. Does it make sense to you? So I've also chosen the word tentatively, because if you do something in a tentative manner, it means that you're not very confident with what you're doing. There may even be a part of you that doesn't want to do the action at all. So it would make perfect sense for Grace to tentatively look out of the window if she was scared about what she might see outside. Again, what do you think? Do you agree? Or do you think something different? And finally, the third word that I chose was peek. I love that word, peek. Because peeking is very different to looking, okay? So peeking suggests that you are only going to take a quick look. And this is something you could do if what you were seeing was something that possibly scared you. You wouldn't want to take a big, long look and make it really obvious at something like a monster, would you? Okay, just in case they saw you taking this massive look and then came after you. No, you'd want to take a quick peek. So, ready to move on to question 2? Great, so am I. So, here's question 2. How do you think the remains of the neighbour's trampoline ended up hanging over Mr. Lake's hedgerows? So this is a how question. It's an interesting question as well, even if I do say so myself. Okay, so it says the remains of the neighbour's trampoline. So that must mean that it isn't in one piece. It's broken. So I'm thinking that however it got to the point where it's hanging over Mr. Lake's hedgerows, might have something to do with why it's broken. We also know that something is happening to make Grace scared because of the words we have identified in question 1. Right, let's think about this. Let me have a look. Oh look, I can see that it says she could hear the howling of the wind as it fought violently with the trees. Well, the word violently makes me think that this could be a strong wind. And you tend to get really strong winds in a storm. So maybe that's why the trampoline is not where it should be. I'm going to continue with this inference. I'm going to see if I can find any more evidence to justify that inference that I've just made. Aha! I found another piece. In the text, it says the whole town was shrouded in darkness. Now, even if it's nighttime, it is very unusual for there to be no light at all. No, like not just from the houses, but also from outside. Like you see lights outside because it's just safe, isn't it? So if the whole town is dark, then there must be a reason for that. What could that reason be? Oh, I know. Maybe it's due to a power cut because sometimes when there's a storm, it damages the cables that help, that bring us electricity. So maybe actually that's why there aren't any lights on, because the electricity has been cut. Well, that supports my storm theory, doesn't it? I wonder if there's anything else. Ooh, if you look towards the end of the paragraph, it says a loud crack of lightning pierced the sky. When might lightning strike? During a storm, of course. If I put all of these pieces of evidence from the text together, I think I can infer that the reason the remains of the neighbour's trampoline is hanging over Mr. Lake's prize-winning hedgerows is because it was dragged over there from the strong winds of a storm. Makes sense to me. What do you think? Thanks for helping me find the evidence and begin to justify my ideas, guys. So, why don't you give it a go? Let's see what I'm going to get you to do today. I'm going to share another interesting piece of text with you, along with 2 questions in which you are going to need to be a detective and you're going to need to use your inference skills, just like you did with me, in order to answer them. And remember, we must provide evidence. We need to justify our ideas. So, here's the text. Have a look, read along with me if you like. I always love it when people read along with me. So here we go. The dinosaur licked the ice cream, careful not to let its huge teeth knock the creamy deliciousness out of the cone. With just 2 lashings of its giant tongue, it had consumed all of the ice cream, leaving nothing but the cone and a hint of cream in the corner of its mouth. Flicking its head back, the cone rose into the air before falling into the open mouth of the beast. The dinosaur let out a sigh of satisfaction and squirmed to get comfortable on its chair as a bell rang, signalling lunch was over, and it began typing once again. Oh, only 3 more hours, it thought, and then I'll be going home. And here are your 2 questions. Question 1. Does the dinosaur enjoy its work? Give evidence to explain your answer. And question 2. Does the dinosaur like ice cream? Once again, I would love for you to give some evidence to explain your answer. Remember, justify, justify, justify. Okay, so read the text through by yourself one more time and then pause the video and have a go at the questions. Don't unpause the video until you have completed the task. You ready? Okay. Pause. Oh, that feels so much better. Beginning to think that you were never going to unpause me. So, because you have unpaused me, and I said to only unpause me once you had completed the task, it would be justified for me to infer that you have indeed completed your task. If you haven't, and trust me, I'll know if you haven't, then pause me now and get going. We good to go? Okay, so I am sure your teacher would love to see your responses just as much as I have loved teaching you today. Just in case you have forgotten who I am, I'm Miss Sam from Park Primary, and I'm very much looking forward to teaching you again sometime. All of these texts has put me in the mood to read. Doesn't take a lot to put me in the mood to read, but I'm there. So I'm going to read my new book called Gita, The Battle of the Worlds. Very interesting cover. I'll let you know how I get on.